best beer ever. Firstly Ferret, you can't argue with it. Hi, what you doing? Just watching this video? Oh, cool. I meant to say how you doing there. My name is Rory Bentley, as you might already know. But for those new to this channel, I review rock and heavy metal albums. And although I've only been doing it for a bit, I'm going to lay a line in the sand, do a cut-off point, and I'm going to talk about the my top 10 albums of the year. I'm limiting it to 10. You don't want to hear, you know, a 4-part clip of me doing the top 20. But I'm being very strict and limited it to a top 10 albums of the year. I know there are still some things to come as well, like the new Baroness album, but I can't wait until December the 18th to review that, although I'm so fucking excited about it. But, yeah, I'm going to do probably the first, I guess, 5 in this part of the video, and then 5 in the next part. So, yeah. But these are the albums that I think have been the best things I've heard this year, and I've tried to be very much focused on the quality of the album rather than the name behind the album, which I wish some reviewers in the more established media organisations would do. You know, Def Leppard, for example. That album is a piece of shit. You know what, I was going to review it, but I've got nothing nice to say, so I won't say anything at all. But it's fucking rubbish. That's all you need to know. You don't need a 10-minute video of me telling you that. It's fucking crap. Go listen to Pyromania. Anyway, so, yeah, this is a short list. Some of these are interchangeable, but at the same time, you know, they're all fucking great, so it doesn't matter which one is number one or whatever. It's just my own personal opinion. And, yeah, honourable mentions, I will say, before we go into the full top 10. Stuff that kind of almost made it, but not quite. Tesseract, Polaris, was a fantastic album. Steven Wilson, as the new Steven Wilson album's really grown on me as well. There's a band called The Ongoing Concept that produced an album called Handmade, and it's fucking awesome as well. They made all their own instruments. It's a really awesome kind of hardcore, soulful, funky kind of album, and it's great. Really energises you. And also Cancerback, Searching for Zero, is another fucking brilliant one, which hasn't really got the love I think it deserves, but it's a really stripped down, fucking cool punk album. So there you go. But yeah, we're going to get into the top 10, and where better to start the countdown than at number 10. So number 10 is an album I have discussed in a previous video, and that's Iron Maiden, The Book of Souls. It's got a lot of love in the media, again, probably because it's one of those bands that's too big to fail, but at the same time, I think a lot of it is deserved. I don't think it's their best album. I think it's the best album they've done in a long time, and as my video said, you know, I was really full of praise for the album, and it's something that I've continued to listen to, and something that I really enjoy. I think the one thing that separates it from a lot of the kind of previous Iron Maiden albums, the most recent ones, is there seems to be a little bit of kind of vigour and vitality to the playing on the album, and it does sound just a bit more like a band really hitting their stride, even though it contains a lot of the things that, you know, I perhaps didn't like, or a lot of people didn't like about the previous few Iron Maiden albums. It's still got the proggy moments that go on for a bit. There are a lot of mid-paced songs, but somehow all the songs are just played with just a bit more bollocks, really. And he's got an 18-minute song about an airship disaster, so what more can you ask for? Yeah, so I made a Book of Souls. You know, we've just watched the previous video. At number 9 is one I haven't discussed, which is Napalm Death, with their album Apex Predator Easy Meat. And I think because it came out so early in the year, I think it was January, February time, I hope it's not the case, but maybe a lot of people are going to forget about it. And it's an absolute sin, because this album is just absolutely phenomenal. This is a band just like, what, 25 years into their career, more than that? And they sound so pissed off, so angry, so aggressive. There's so many fucking brilliant songs on there, like Dear Slumlord, Smash a Single Digit. There's so many Cesspits. There's so many fucking amazing, angry, nasty songs with brilliant social commentary, played with such aggression. This isn't just an angry, shouty, extreme album. I mean, it definitely is that. But it's a piece of art, and we are so lucky that we have a band in this world, in this extreme world, that plays with the same quality and consistency as Napalm Death. Absolutely fucking brilliant album, and I cannot recommend you check it out enough. It's not going to be for everybody because it is so fucking heavy, but you know what? If you can't roll with it, if you're that small, if you're that fucking scared to try new things, then fuck you, you're the one missing out. So Napalm Death, Apex Predator, Easy Meat, fucking phenomenal album. And then I'm going to put, going from one extreme to the other, number 8, Nightwish, with the album Endless Forms Most Beautiful. Obviously I've done a video on this as well, and this is another one I've continued to listen to and really enjoy. Admittedly, my actual love of the band has certainly coloured the position of this. I'd probably say if you put them head to head, maybe the Napalm Death album is better. I said I'd try to avoid that, but in terms of a great Nightwish album, this is a great Nightwish album. And one that I really enjoyed the accessibility. I really enjoyed the heads down approach on a lot of the songs. I enjoyed the subject matter a lot as well, because they strayed from that fantasy realm and came in with something much more grounded in reality. And brilliant vocal performance by Floor Jansen, and just a really great start to front listen, which is not an easy feat considering, you know, it's an over 70-minute album. So yeah, number 8, Nightwish, Endless Forms Most Beautiful. Already talked about it. Another thing I've already talked about is Paradise Lost with their album, The Plague Within. Fucking love The Plague Within. As you know, I've talked about it extensively in another video, but it is great to hear a classic band just sounding just like the Napalm Death one. Like, you know, they're just hitting their stride. They sound so kind of full of youth and full of life, and it just pretty much just shows everyone how the fuck you do metal. Brilliant vocals, excellent songwriting, and so much kind of darkness and misery and grief, but with just great songwriting. Hooks. This album's got hooks all over the place, even though it's so miserable, which sustains your interest all the way through. And again, you know, I've pretty much got my knob out over this band in the previous video, but I cannot recommend it enough. Paradise Lost, The Plague Within, just an absolute fucking stonker of an album. And then I'm going to get into an album that I haven't actually discussed, which came out a bit early before I started doing these videos. And this is the album The Last of Our Kind by The Darkness, in at number 6. Now, I fucking love The Darkness, and they're one of those bands, when they came out, they were such a breath of fresh air, and people forget that. It was such an uncool thing, because there's been a real revival in classic rock and classic metal and things that were considered cheesy. If you remember the kind of early 2000s, particularly the late 90s, this kind of music was like about as popular as fucking paedophilia or cellulite. It was so not the done thing. You know, high falsetto vocals, any kind of positivity, I think, was almost kind of ruled out in a lot of cases. And, you know, rock and metal, in the more traditional sense, was so not the done thing. It was so pretty much on its arse, sales-wise, turnout-wise. And this band just don't get enough credit for the influence they had on breaking through that and actually saying, you know what, this is fun music. I don't care about fucking all these songs about, oh, the dad left me or whatever. You know, I don't give a shit about all this self-loathing. Why are we all down on everything? Why has everything got to be so serious? Why has everything got to be so just musically simple as well? Why aren't we allowed guitar solos? This Permission to Land had fucking everything, and you know, maybe it's something I'm going to discuss on a sole video, but they were such an important band for setting that new landscape, and inevitably they did get overexposed. They weren't absolutely massive, which is an achievement in itself for such an unfashionable sounding band, but they became fucking huge all over the world. You know, they played at the Brit Awards and stole the show. They were absolutely massive, and inevitably they were overexposed, took a bit of a nosedive, and when they came back with the album Hotcakes, it was okay. It was fine, but This is the real kind of album we wanted from The Darkness. This album is just hit after hit after hit. It is flawless. In terms of a 21st century classic rock influence record, this is absolutely fucking phenomenal. Back to front, there's choruses the size of a planet. You can sing along to every single one of these songs. The musicianship, which they don't really get praised enough for, is out of this world. They've still got one of the best guitar tones ever. The solos tear your face off. There's some absolutely crushing riffs on here as well. Some really powerful Deep Purple on steroid kind of riffs. And the songwriting is just phenomenal. These guys... There's not many better songwriters than Justin and Dan Hawkins around. There's so many brilliant moments on this album. I mean, Barbarian, if you've not heard Barbarian, what a fucking stomping song about a Viking invasion. 2 monologues, massive riffs. It's just brilliant. And people say, oh, you know, they're just a kind of a joke, tongue-in-cheek band. There's humour there, but there was humour in pretty much all the great bands. There was humour in Queen's music, but people still took it seriously. This is seriously brilliant music. So well played. Barbarian. The Last of Our Kind title track is something that puts this new Def Leppard album, which, as I mentioned before, is fucking shit, to shame. It is an absolutely fucking phenomenal, like, powerful anthem of a song. And power ballads, you want power ballads? Right at the end, the bass player, Frankie Poulin, who, you know, obviously looks like Freddie Mercury, or the guy from Saxon, sings lead vocals on the song Conquerors. And I've not heard a better power ballad than Conquerors in a long, long time. This could be on a Whitesnake album. And they've got epic songs on there. So they've got Mighty Wings, which is just a real prog, mind-melting classic. They've got a beautiful Thin Lizzy double guitar harmony bit on Oh Sarah. It is just back to front, phenomenal songwriting. Open Fire, you might have heard that as well. Sounds like a fun version of The Cult. And there's just so many little touchstones from classic rock history, but with that original Darkness spin. None of these songs outstay their welcome. You know, they all get the job done, just with absolute precision. There's not a wasted second on this album. And if you've not checked this album out, it's absolutely criminal. If you like classic rock, if you like Def Leppard, if you like Whitesnake, if you like Aerosmith, this shits on anything these arseholes have done for like the last 25 years. It is absolutely brilliant. And, you know, I feel stupid that it is actually at number 6, but again, it just comes down to personal preference. But yeah, The Darkness, Last of Our Kind, absolutely brilliant album. And just check it out. So I'm going to halt things there, while I just absolutely work myself into a lava about The Darkness, and we will resume things in part 2. But yeah, for now, again, subscribe as usual. What are your favourite albums of the year? You know, do you think I've missed something out already? You know, well, I mean, I suppose you can't tell until we get into the next bit, but you know, let me know what you think. Subscribe, and I'll catch you all. Well, I'll catch you later. Great outro as usual.